Born in Canada, District of Montreal, the 26th of September 1826. And he was married to a Janet McGibbon, who was born 9th of, November 1826. And they were married 23rd of February 1854. Julie Bowen provided this document. Getting back to the Graham family tree, we have George, just mentioned him, and he and Janet McGibbon had these kids here. This is my grandfather, William Graham, and he married Sarah Avery, and they had 3 kids. My uncle William S. or William Scott Graham, my Aunt Janet, and my mom, Helen Avery. Of course, she married my dad. Now, William and Sarah had 3 kids, William S. Graham Jr., Elizabeth, we call Betty, cousin Betty, and her sister Eleanor, who had 3 girls, Sally, Eliza, and Carol. So that's basically the Graham side of the family. This picture was provided by Steve Fenimore Baker. Is a companion to the other 2 I showed you before, the gold frames. This is out at Fenbrook Farm, 1919, near Hyde, Maryland, north of Baltimore. And we have Henry Fenimore Baker and his wife Cora Warman Baker in their garden. I have a picture album that my dad and his mother constructed when Dad was in France during World War I, and sent pictures and memorabilia, photographs back to Granny, who constructed an album, which of course I haven't shown you, but I have it on disc in the computer waiting to have it printed out. This is Fenbrook Farm, and Sue helped me to identify that. It had no marking on it in the album, so she said, "Oh, that's Fenbrook Farm." I said, "Oh, fantastic." Now I took the picture out, and on the back was Granny's writing, "Christmas greetings from the bunch, home nest, mother, Christmas 1918. Helen Avery Graham Baker on her wedding day, June 1st, 1921. My mom. Here is Granny Baker on the left with her map of remembrance, which is in color. And that's one I showed you that I have a blueprint of it. And these other men are unidentified. I don't know who they are. But this might be late 30s. Paris, 1937. 2 members of the Battle Monuments Commission laying flowers at the Arc de Triomphe. And Granny's on the left. Same event, the Eternal Flame, Granny on the left. Paris, 1937. Dedication of the cemetery at Montfaucon, Montfaucon, August 1st, 1937. I'm sure Granny made a speech here. The same place, Paris, the same year, 1937. Granny is in the front, of course, in the middle, and we also see Grandpa Baker went with her. Cora Warman Baker and Henry Fenimore Baker's 50th anniversary, November 15th, 1937. What you can do is pause this and read all the names. Nancy Love Baker, later to be Forbes, and the upper picture would be about 1930. She was born February 10th, 1925. And here's an interesting picture of her playing badminton down in Round Bay, Maryland. I'm sure this was late 30s. And we used to go barefoot in the summer, and we could walk on all those holly leaves with thorns in it, no problem. Run across gravel roads and paths. Feet were tough. But this badminton court was down in the back, away from the street. Again, Nancy Love Baker, and her wedding was April 53, I believe, provided by Julie Forbes Bowen. And this may have been Nancy Love Baker when she graduated from UCLA, sometime in there, in the probably 40s, late 40s. Here we have part of the Baker family at Mount Baldy in California. It's east of Los Angeles downtown, and it's probably the highest mountain in the Sierra Nevada range. And on the left is Nancy Love Baker, and next we have Donald Dodge Warner, who's the husband of Sue, who is the next person, Sue Baker Warner, my dear sister, always supported me and always willing to share. And of course our dad in the sunglasses, and Captain Henry F. Baker Jr., Coast Artillery. And here's our 1941 Plymouth, which the four of us, Mom, Dad, Nancy, and I, left Baltimore in August of 1943, and we went up to visit my mom's Aunt Laura, in Buffalo. Aunt Laura was one of four daughters. We have, first of all, firstborn was Lucy, second Laura Scott, Lora. The next one was Sarah Scott Avery, my grandmother, and we have the last one, Harriet, whom we know as Aunt Hattie. So we went up to Buffalo, New York to see her, and then we went out through the plains. The next place I remember was Waterloo, Iowa. Then we went up to Mount Rushmore and visited that. Now that was completed in 1941 by a Danish sculptor. His last name is Borglum. And I remember going to Yellowstone, and the lodge was all boarded up because of the war. Gas was, of course, rationed, and Dad was given in Baltimore a coupon book of tankfuls of gas, and so you tried to travel as far as you can get it on empty so you can get your full amount when you fill up, because if you filled up with half a tank, you gave a full tank coupon to the station employee. The next place I remember was Yellowstone, of course, with the geyser, Old Faithful, that blew off every 55 minutes. We wouldn't be able to see that because we had to get on the road. And the next stop I remember was Jackson Hole, Wyoming. A terrifying road without any guardrails, kind of almost one lane. It was really treacherous. And then I remember going to Cody, Wyoming, spent the night there, down through Salt Lake City. I remember going in the Mormon temple, and we were told to go in the back, and the man up front turned his back to us and whispered. We could hear every word. And after that we went to near Mono Lake, California, and in through, I think it's Highway 395, down through probably Ontario and out to the west in Los Angeles. Our 41 Plymouth. Here is my uncle, my dad's brother, Albert Brewer Baker, and his wife, Bess Turner. And they're up in the Thousand Islands in Canada, St. Lawrence River, on a boat they owned called Al Ned 1. Steve Baker very kindly sent that to me. This is Steve Baker and his wife Diana near Carmel, California. I think he said December 2013. Dang, the Baker boys are good looking. Kellen Warner, my grandniece, daughter of my nephew Douglas Garfield Warner, is our token lacrosse player. She played and coached, and she is in Baltimore, Maryland, pointing to my dad's picture in the Lacrosse Hall of Fame there. Cool. Someone, and I won't reveal who, wanted me to take more of the Baker kids. This is Henry Fenimore Baker III, April 20th, 1934, in Roland Park, suburb of Baltimore. The same year with my mom, Helen Graham Baker, same place. Henry Fenimore Baker III, held by my dad, Henry Fenimore Baker Jr. This is in Rugston, Maryland, a suburb of Baltimore, same year. Looks like my sister Nancy is peeking around from behind. Nancy Love Baker. This one is labeled at Charlie and Helen Bronner's place in Rugston. Boring. My mother had taken an envelope and cut my hair, and says, my precious baby boy's hair at 2 years after his first haircut. Wonderful. Well, here are the Baker brats. Nancy Love Baker, myself, Suzanne Baker, April 1934, Rugston, Maryland. And this is a really neat picture of the three Fenimores. Grandpa, Henry Fenimore Baker, my dad, Henry Fenimore Baker Jr., and myself, Henry Fenimore Baker III. Rugston, Maryland, 1935. Grandpa smoked a pipe. same place, same time. My mom and me, the first house in Round Bay, Maryland. I think we moved there maybe 1936. Henry Fenimore Baker III, 1935. I know you're all asleep by now. Here are the Baker Bretts again, 1935. Probably out in Ruxton, Maryland. Probably again out at Ruxton, Maryland, 1935. On the left is Joan Bronner, cousin. The tall person, my sister Sue, myself on the trike. Mary Pierce Bronner with the dog, and my sister Nancy Love Baker. Henry Fenimore Baker III at Round Bay, Maryland, about 1939. The Little Pier. Now up those stairs are two people. I've taken a magnifying glass and I cannot identify them. They might be Mom and Sue or Nancy. But down that path, I don't know, 30, 40 yards, and turn left, and that was our house on Luna Lane, Round Bay, Maryland. Suzanne Baker, 1940, Baltimore, Maryland. Round Bay, Maryland,